Hello and welcome to a brand new video, indeed a brand new series. And as you can see, we're on Football Manager 2018, and in these sorts of games, I'm a massive fan of the Football Manager series, have been for a very long time. But what I like to do in these sorts of games is mess around with things, see how things go in the future. And one of my favourite aspects, and I imagine this is the same for a lot of people, is taking young players, or more specifically regens, and moulding them into stars. But how good am I, and how good are you, at actually recognising who's going to be a future star? And therein lies the premise of Regen Roulette. So let's get into it, and I'll explain a little further. So what I've done is that I have simulated a year into the future, and I have had a poke around at all the regens, had a little pre-scout, had a little look at their stats, and I've selected 12. Now these 12 have a mixture of leagues that they're in and abilities. They all should be, from what the scouts say, they all should be potential-wise at least half decent players. So I'm going to show those 12 players to you, and then I am going to predict who I think is going to have the best career, who's going to have a worse career, sort of just based on what I can see there. And I'll be asking yourselves to do the same. Leave it in the comments on who you think is going to have a good career, who you think is going to have a bad career. And I'm going to base that on a variety of things, like caps, goals, appearances, things that they've won as a team or individually, getting big transfers, that sort of thing. But that's a bridge that we'll cross when we get to it. So we'll take a look at the 12 players. Then how the series will progress is that every single year we will catch up with these players and see how they've done in the last year, and see how that last year will perhaps make us reconsider what we thought about them previously and what we think about them now. So, without further ado, let's introduce those 12 starlets, shan't we? So here are the 12 in question, and let's start from the furthest back. Young John Tucker. Now, he's a 16-year-old Welsh goalkeeper currently at Swansea. Now, Swansea did recreate their form in life, and they did finish in the bottom three and are now playing in the Championship as of next season. So what caught my eye about him, he's fairly professional, so that should be good, but his determination is quite low. So will that affect how he progresses in the future? And obviously with goalkeepers, it's difficult to rise up the ranks, but he's the number 2 in their under-18s, but he should be number 1. And Fabianski is still there. So John Tucker, there he is. He's good technically, got solid mentals apart from that determination, good agility. So I think he's a good player. Player number 2 is a centre-back currently at Groningen in the Eredivisie. He is exceptionally determined, which is what caught my eye, and he's got excellent natural fitness, so he shouldn't be missing too many games through injuries. Good header of the ball, pretty strong, not the quickest, but and he's fairly short for a centre back as well, so perhaps that will be of detriment to him. He's a driven personality, and you can see he's already actually got a game or two, because we're in the 1st of July and will be the 1st of July every single year, but he's got a couple of games under his belt already. He's still in the under-19s, but it seems that they're not afraid of calling him up to the first team, perhaps with injuries and what have you. So let's see how he gets on. Now I'm going to say right here that I will be putting a link in the description which will have a screenshot of all of the players, or you can obviously just pause the video at the relevant times and just sort of in your mind think about who's going to do well, who's not going to be the best, and so on and so forth. So the next player is Kennedy Garcia, another professional player from obviously the hotbed of young talent that is Brazil. Good tackling, good marking, Again, not the best jumper of the ball, but he's determined. and he's already got a game in a competition. The Brazilian leagues and Brazilian teams play so many games, so he's certainly going to get some sort of first team football. You would have thought he's in the under-20s at the moment, but he's playing in the under-20s, and again, another one that's not amazing at first sight, but I reckon that he's got a bit about him to go on in the future. Next up, we've got Graham Gebb, double G. Currently at Airdrie, who are in the Scottish third tier, which I don't have loaded, so I'll be interested to see how that plays out. I do have the top 2 divisions of Scotland loaded, so if he just manages to get promoted or move up in his career, then should be all right for him. Now he's 15, so he's a very young lad. He's fairly sporting, which isn't a negative, but isn't really amazing positive either. He's got good mental stats for his age. And he's not got too bad physicals. Again, pace isn't great, and his jumping's good though. He's more of a physical centre back to the other two. Technicals obviously need some work, but again, he's only 15. Let's see if perhaps he can get a move to another club, one of his favourite clubs from Lanark. He's a Rangers fan, so maybe he can get his dream move. The next up on the list is another 15-year-old, Andrei Yeremeyev. At CSK Moscow. I don't have the Russian leagues loaded, so another one, see how that will play out. Determined, he's unsporting, which may be a detriment, I'm not entirely sure. Already capped at under 20 levels despite only being 15 years old, and obviously CSK Moscow are a big side in that league and in the country, so if he can work his way up, then he'll do a very good job. He's a natural wing-back, and CSK Moscow do play wing-backs on their current formation, so perhaps that is a good omen for him. He's got good stamina, pretty good technicals in the areas, pretty good mentals for his age, so that should be a pretty good start for him, and I reckon that he could do quite decently. Next up is Roberto Brazier from Canada. Now, Canada not known for their footballing talents. I mean, Junior Hoylett, Tiba Hutchinson, Thomas Radzinski. I mean, they were solid players, I guess, at once upon a time, but they're not exactly world beaters. But perhaps Roberto Brazier, or Breza, Robbie B, can be the catalyst to take them up and beyond. He's got very good physicals for his age. I mean, he's 17, so he's a bit older than a couple of them, but good physicals, a little slow perhaps, but the rest of them are good. Technically, he's brave, he's determined. Technically, needs some work, but he's got the good technique. He's ambitious as well. He's currently on TFC 3, so Toronto, but I don't know if they have a direct affiliation or not. But whilst he's not got any value, he could be snapped up. And I've had a look, there's a couple of players already on TFC 3. I'll show you. A couple of them already got some transfers. Eddie Chong's going to Metz. Joe de Bellis also going to Metz. So you can see that a few of them, Ouman, Saint Etienne, so they're going to top league French clubs. So perhaps Robbie B can follow in their footsteps. Next we're back over to Old Blighty and Grant Miller. Looks a very good player. He's very well rounded technically, pretty well rounded mentally and physically. Excellent natural fitness, but he does have a temper on him. He's aggressive, he's brave, so he'll get into those he argues with officials, so he perhaps maybe getting some suspensions and stuff will hold him back. Also, Stoke, unlike Swansea, who did get relegated, actually stayed up, so they're a Premier League side, so it's going to be difficult for him to break into a Premier League side. And he's currently getting played on the left-hand side in the under-18s, where I would say that his strengths perhaps lie a bit more in the centre, but he can play on the left, so maybe he will transition into a bit more of a wide man. So that is Grant Miller. I think he looks good, but I think he's got a tough time to move on. Next we're off to Portugal and Helio Melo, old helium caramel here, professional, which is always a good sign, and he's a determined young man, which drew my eye to him. And also, as you can see already, he's wanted by Porto and Benfica. who are the big two in the country at the moment, and are a hotbed for young talent and bringing them through and selling them on for big fees to Europe. So if he can get his move to one of them two, perhaps it would be an excellent move for him. He's a good passer, good technique, he's got good vision. I like him, and he's already in the first team squad. He's not in the first team as yet, but if he can get that move, they're currently just got promoted to the second division in Portugal. Did Lira. So I think that's where Jose Mourinho started his career, fun fact. So yeah, I like him. I think he's a good player. We'll see how he progresses. Next up is Thabiso Mokhalane, which we are not keeping. Tabby Mocha. There we go. Centre mid from Orlando Pirates. I don't have the South African leagues loaded, so again we'll see how that is of detriment to him. 17, under 20 cap. He's light-hearted, which I suppose maybe isn't the best, but he is determined and he's quick. Good stamina. Not technicals don't leap off at you. Mentals solid. So he's a bit of a wild card. I'm looking forward to seeing how he can progress being South African and not being in a league that's loaded, so we shall see. Number 10, Stephan Schmidt, which is fun to say. So he's a winger from Bayern, obviously massive club, and he's got a big value already, but he's French, not German. Fantastic mental stats for a 15-year-old. The determination, the flair, bravery. He's driven, which I mean he's given by his determination. Got some pace about him, which is what you want from a winger. Technicals clearly need work, but he's only 15. He's at Bayern. It's an excellent place for him to develop. And as we know, Bayern's wingers, they haven't brought anyone else in, so they're an ageing Arjen Robben, ageing Frank Ribery. Thomas Muller's not getting any younger, so he's got an excellent chance to get into an excellent team. And if his technicals can improve to a level of his mental stats, then he's got a bright future ahead of him. Our penultimate player is Albert Herman, and I mean you can see why he caught my eye. He's got some fantastic stats already at only 16 years old. His passing is 16, first touch of 16. He's quick, he's got good mentals, he's got a fairly professional personality, so I think that he could go quite a long way. He's already a rotation option for Montpellier, who are in Ligue 1, and I believe he's in their starting lineup as well. He is at 16 years old, so I mean he is clearly a player with a lot of talent. Will he perhaps burn out playing too many games at so young an age? You don't want him to make a wrong move, go to too big a club and not play, but I think that Montpellier in the French league is an excellent league for him to be in at the moment, and I can't see him doing too badly with those stats. And last but perhaps least, perhaps not least, we will see is Frederico Zanoli, striker from Napoli, our only striker involved. As you can see, he's got some nice technicals, dribbling, finishing. He's fairly determined, good determination. That natural fitness though, is that going to come back to bite him? Is he going to have a career marred by injuries? Now, we didn't have any Italians before, and Napoli are a big team, obviously, in the Serie A, so it will be interesting to see how they develop and progress. Now, I'm not sure about him, but the scouts said that he did have a bright future, so perhaps he's one that just has a lot of potential that isn't quite unlocked as yet. So there are the 12 players. As I said, I'll drop a link in the description which will be a screenshot to them so you can have a bit of a better look at everything. If there's anything that you would like to know about them, just let me know and I will try and provide that information. As for me, I'm going to pick out a top three maybe. I'm a big fan of Helio Melo. I think he's in a good position, he's got a nice distribution of stats, and I like the fact that he's already attracting attention of the big boys in Portugal, so I think that Helio Melo is going to have a good career. I think also I like the look of. I mean, how can you not like the look of Albert Herman's? I mean, look at that. Look at that. I think that he's got a bright future ahead of him. Whether it'll be a case of he's pretty much already at where he'll be, if that makes any sense, that he won't get too much better than that. That is a concern, but I think he's already a pretty top player. So he's one to watch certainly. The last one that I'm gonna highlight as one that I think will do well is Herman Stuckstetter. Yeah, let's go with that. That 20 determination intrigues me to see if he will improve. Because I mean, obviously he's only 16 and he's fine, but he's nothing to write home about. But that determination intrigues me, and I want to see if that will push him up above and beyond. As for those that I think might not do amazingly, I have concerns about Grant Miller. I think he's got a tough time to get to the first team, first and foremost. And the fact that he's quite aggressive and argues with officials might lead to some concerns, and maybe he'll be a bit of a problem in the dressing room. But I mean, players like Roy Keane made an excellent career while still arguing with officials, so who the heck knows. Finally, Frederico Zanoli. I think that his lack of natural fitness, the fact that he's not amazing off the bat, and that he's behind quite a few players at Napoli, makes me think that he's unlikely. I mean, he's already in their under-19 squad, but he's got to get past Milik, Dries Mertens. I mean, I don't know much about Raffaele Russo. I suppose he could perhaps get away to the bench, but they're going to keep looking to bring people in as well. So I don't know if he's going to have the best career. But that's only what I think. So let me know what you think down in the comments below. Who do you like the look of? Who do you think perhaps is not going to reach the heights that maybe is expected of them? And we'll have a look through. As I say, we'll go on year. Every so often I'll be joined by Ryan, but I'll be doing the majority of the legwork. And as they progress, we can sort of perhaps maybe think about how we've been wrong, or who's surprised us a bit. And as they move on towards the end of their career, I'm sure there'll be some lovely awards that can be handed out. And if this gains traction, and there's quite a lot of you that get interested, then I'll be putting things like straw polls into the descriptions and things like that, so we can get a nice feel for who people rate and who people slate, as they say. So that was episode 1. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please comment below. Let me know who you think is going to be the next world beater out of this slot, or indeed who won't. And yeah, I just want to know if this is something that will catch your imagination. It really interests me. Hopefully it'll interest you as well, if I'm as good of a scout as I like to think that I am, and a good judge of talent. So we'll see you on the next one on the 1st of July 2019, and let's see how these regens grow. But until then, I've been Mike from Crane & Crane. Take care, and I'll see you on the next one.